I gotta be honest with you guys. The handlebars on the Yamaha Bolt, they suck. Let's change them out. Okay guys, before we jump into the parts we're going to be using for the build, I needed to make a quick announcement to all my Yamaha Bolt owners out there. If you guys have ever looked into buying aftermarket parts, you know just as much as I do that it's difficult to find ones that directly fit onto the Yamaha Bolt. That's where the guys over at Monkiis, honestly, correct me if I'm wrong with the pronunciation. But the guys over there are making direct fitment parts for the Yamaha Bolt. You got headlights, foot pegs, and a bunch of other parts that you can get. Down in the description is going to be a code that you can get 10% off your entire order. The code is TPCODE. So really simple, Tardy Productions code. Speaking of Yamaha bolts, thank you and huge shout out to Bolt Heads. The guy sent me out a shirt and a bunch of stickers. Really cool guy, awesome to work with. He didn't have to do any of this and just sent it out. I was shocked at the quality of the shirt. It fits really well. The cut is nice. I've ridden it a couple of times. It's got stuff on the back. I'm going to leave him down in the description, as well as Vital Ventures, which I've mentioned previously on the channel. Alright, I think you've heard enough. Let's jump right into the parts we're going to be using for the build. This bolt is not long enough, and while it is an interesting setup, it doesn't work for my bike. So I had to go to Lowe's and get these, which thread right into here, and give me enough space on the bottom where they can feed all the way through the triple tree. I wanted 7/8 because of my hand controls, and they're a little bit easier to hold on to. And I've ridden with an inch, and not that it's terrible, I just always wanted to go down to 7/8 because your hand control options are much higher. The issue with that is that these I thought were 7/8, but they're 1 inch. I'm going to make shims to fit inside of there. These handlebars I got for free, and these risers I got for $30 on eBay. There's not going to be a link to them because I had trouble finding another pair of them. They're beefy though, they're very heavy. There's nothing hollowed out, these are solid. And then these handlebars are actually off of a Street750. So one of my only issues is going to be my clutch cable. So what I think I'm going to do to alleviate it temporarily is I've already rerouted it through the other side of the bike. I'm going to undo that and I'm going to run the clutch cable up and up to here, right over the tank. Now, someone's gonna have something to say about that, but right now, I just needed to ride around for the next couple of days until I can order a new clutch cable. Because the CRF 450 throttle tube came with these throttle cables that are plenty long enough, and my brake line will be just perfect. I've cut the end off of these old ape hangers that I had. Those are 1 inch bars, so what I'm going to do is I already cut a link out of the other one. I'm going to cut this in half so it's 2 wedges. So here's how they turned out, just 2 halves, and I cleaned them up around the edges and then tightened them down all the way because I don't have the angle right, but that's hopefully how they're gonna work. I have taken off the handlebars and the risers. I just kept them in one piece because there was no point in separating them. That's just dangling by, yeah, you understand. I put through the new bolts that I got, and I just locked them on here with the nuts from here. I'm just holding them on there so they don't drop through. And then on top, I have 1 washer because this divots down. You can see how it drops down there. So I'm putting a washer in there because I don't want the rubber bushings to be taking the weight anymore. So these washers, just remember those. Give me 1 sec. These washers, 1 second, are going to fit right inside of here. They fit right inside that lip, and they're gonna rest against the hard part of this bushing. So you see how that completely fills up that space. And then when we clamp it all down, it successfully makes it like a hard mounted bushing. It's not like I have huge ape hangers or something, and I don't think the vibrations are gonna be that bad. But if they are, I have something to resolve that. So I picked up these washers, or these bushings. They were like 10 cents or something. I was like, why not? And they fit perfectly inside of there. Gonna be beefy. That boy as thick as the forks. Wow, that is a close. That's close. Look at this. Literally, if they were any different, anything, the bars would not fit right across here, but they're going to fit so perfect. It's gonna look like these were made for this bike. Look at that gap, it's like nothing. This is going to be awesome. Guys, leave a comment down below what you think of them. I really like how they're turning out so far. Who knows what hiccups are going to come up. So we got about that much more rise, so probably about an inch or two, maybe more, and then a substantial amount of pullback. An inch or an inch or 2.5. Maybe I'll put these on this bike. So what I've done is I've pulled the clutch cable back through the bike, all the way back through, and I've fed it out so it's just hanging out like this. Right now, I do not have another clutch cable that's longer, and this one will not reach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run it over the tank. Looks a bit ridiculous right now, but it's not hurting anything. Oh my gosh, that looks terrible. All right, we're gonna have to order a new clutch cable ASAP because that looks horrible. All right, so here's what I've settled on for now. The clutch cable runs down through the risers, around the speedometer, down the tank, and then, you know, this is ridiculous. It doesn't catch on anything, but at full tilt the opposite way, you get a kind of a loop guy going. I took off both of my button clusters. Well, this one's still hanging on. I'm only gonna keep this one on for now. Now, I'm not even sure if this clutch can be used with such a large button assembly. So I think the next thing I'm going to order for the bike is going to have to be the buttons, because this needs to be resolved. Alright guys, so now we are going to switch out this brake because it's looking a little bit rough. And while it served its purpose at the beginning of this build, I think that this bike deserves something nicer. Something like this. This, my friends, is a Taiwanese brake company. Let's compare them to Brembo. Either way, we're gonna be using DOT4 brake fluid because it's compatible with not only up here, but down there. If you're looking for a how-to on how to change your brakes out, would you get out of here? How many times have you gone around me?
Charles is the name.
Wow, boy! Okay, so I drained it through this, and again, if you are looking for a how-to on how to switch out the Yamaha bolt brakes, that's gonna be linked right here. Right here. Let's get this off of here. I drained it out already. It should be relatively empty. Josiah, the seat is not attached on that. It's just sitting on there.
You're gonna get a rod up your butt, dude.
So here's a little mock-up of how it's gonna look. I am definitely going to have to buy a new brake line. It'll reach, but I gotta run it a weird way, and I'm getting a new clutch line, or a new clutch cable, so I might as well get a new brake line, because this looks unbelievable. This braking system and clutch is too nice for this bike. This looks so clean. Get rid of this crusty thing and go to that. Gotta figure out what to do with this. Probably not gonna keep such a big reservoir. I don't think it's necessary, but we'll see. So I'll be ordering a new brake line tonight, definitely. But for now, I believe this will work. If it doesn't, it's gonna rip this brake line right out. So let's hope it works. All of this and the compatible brake fluids with the Yamaha bolt are gonna be linked in that video that I had before. And again, this is not a how-to, but do not ever use brake fluid that has previously been opened. So if you have brake fluid, and I'm not gonna use this whole container, which sucks because it's kind of a waste, but if you ever have brake fluid and you're like, oh, I only opened it up, you know, a couple weeks ago, I'll just use it for this one, don't use it. Brake fluid is hydrophilic, and so it will draw moisture out of the air, and water has a lower boiling temperature than what brake fluid does, and then you will get brake fade, and then you will die. So, only sealed. I'm gonna put a couple paper towels down because brake fluid is really harsh on paint. So we bled the brakes through the bottom, but the next thing that we have to do is we have to bleed them through the top here, because my previous ones did not have a bleeder valve at the top, but these are a lot nicer. So we're gonna bleed it through the top, and the way we're gonna do that is I've taken the hose that I was using to direct the brake fluid away from the bike into that, and I put it into this bottle, and I'm just gonna shove this right on top. If you don't know what the bleeder valve is, you should probably go watch that video. I'll leave it down in the description so that you have another chance to go look at it. Ooh, boy. That helped a lot. That helped a lot. I'm going to try to carefully remove this without getting brake fluid everywhere. We'll see how that goes. Guys, I want you to know I really wanted the dirt bike handlebars to be to be on this bike. But after riding with them for a while, they were way too short. I was hunching forward. I didn't like it. And finding risers that are 1 1/8 clamping area that aren't $200, it's just not possible. So that are tall enough and not $200. Those are the two catches. I kind of had to rethink what exactly I wanted on the bike. And after looking at people like Joey55 and Dom829, their stunt bike setups, they looked extremely comfortable. I kind of took a note that they had pullback risers, which I had on the old Yamaha, and I loved that tight feeling. But the biggest thing that I didn't like about those tall risers were they would get in your chest when you would try to get over the top of the bike. That prohibited me from even learning rolling burnouts on that old Yamaha, and the dirt bike handlebars made it possible to where I could easily do that. So I wanted the balance in between the two, where I got the low middle, but the tall rise for my hands. And I think that this got the pullback and everything. This is better than I could have ever imagined. We're basically done with the brakes. So yeah, we're done with the brakes. We're really getting the front end of this looking good. And the red, I wasn't a fan of the red at first, but it just worked out that this came on offer up and this came on offer up, and they were both red. And well, this is a much better anodized red, and this is probably a lot older. I still think they look great together, so I'm gonna leave them red. And I think what I have planned for the tank is gonna make this, whew. Alrighty guys, so here's how the bars turned out. This is like my first official ride with everything all set up. I mean, look at how the bike's turning out. It's looking like a completely different bike now. And make sure you guys like and subscribe. We put out content every single week. There's about to be 2 videos that pop up somewhere and a subscribe button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button and click on one of those 2 videos. I'm Aaron, this is Tardy Productions. I'm out.